Hello everybody, my name is Gina Lee and today we are going to be baking. We will be making a salted caramel or caramel, however you choose to say it, apple pie. I've got all the ingredients kind of sitting out over here, so I'll go over those with you in just a second and we'll get started. But I just wanted to let you know there's a little fun twist on this one, alright? So tonight is actually Christmas Eve. I know it won't be whenever you see this video, but I'm spinning it by myself and I'm making this pie in preparation for tomorrow. And it's pretty cold outside where I'm from, right? And you know, you could turn the heat up, but we could also turn the heat up another way. And the way we're gonna do that is with this here bourbon that we've got, all right? Before I go on with that, I just want to let you know I am 22 years old and of legal drinking age, and I do not condone drinking to anybody, especially minors. Thank you. But yeah, with all that said, let's get into it. Okay, so here we have 4 large Granny Smith apples. The recipe calls for 6 to 8, however, I've found that that's too many. We've also got a lemon. We've got 2 pie crust here. One is a deep dish and one is a standard. We've got Smucker's salted caramel sauce, Hershey's caramel sauce. We've also got nutmeg, cinnamon, all-purpose flour, granulated white sugar, brown sugar, and you'll need 1 egg for this recipe. We've also got aluminum foil for the pie shield. And those are all the ingredients you'll need for this recipe. Okay, we're starting off strong. I know you heard me say I wanted to warm up a little bit, so we're gonna go ahead and get into it, but not on camera. Bye! The first thing I will be doing is peeling up the apples. I unfortunately do not have an apple peeler, so I'm scoring the top of this apple as you see, and I will be using this comically large sharp spoon to take the peel off of the apples. If you have an apple peeler, I would definitely recommend that. This does the job, but not well. Also, these apples weren't quite ripe enough, so I think that's part of the reason they look so bad. Here are our apples in all their glory. Now we will be slicing up the apples. We are going to be cutting them into slices that are between 1/4 of an inch and 1/3 inch thick. I'm sorry that you guys have to see just how bad my knife skills are. I mean, look, I almost cut my finger off. I just about lost the tip of my thumb because I don't know how to hold a knife properly. Since I had this cutting board out, I figured I would go ahead and cut up the lemon here. We will be using a tablespoon of the juice and also the zest of half of it, and I'm just setting it off to the side. Now onto the dry ingredients. We are doing 5 tablespoons of granulated white sugar here. And I am so sorry that this is taking me so long. I don't think I've ever seen anyone scoop sugar into a bowl slower than what I'm doing right now. Yep, just bear with me. We'll get through it together. Come on, Gina, we don't got all day. Let's go. Okay, take your sweet time. So 5 tablespoons of white sugar and onto the brown sugar. Apparently the last time I cooked an apple pie or used this brown sugar, I didn't rip the bag properly, so that's what you see me doing here. We are doing 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. I ended up doing a little bit extra just because I love brown sugar with apples and anything that's caramel flavored, so we did a little bit extra. And we're just kind of moving things out of the frame, cleaning up a little bit. Now we are doing the flour. We are using between 3 to 4 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. I put 3 in here. I did end up going back and adding a little bit extra. Onto the cinnamon, we are using 1.5 teaspoons, but you know, babe, a good apple pie has heaps of cinnamon, so we did use a little bit extra of that, as you can see there. And this recipe calls for 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg, but I went a little overboard with that too. I love nutmeg. And now we're using the lemon. We are doing a tablespoon of lemon juice. This is definitely the reason I had to go back and add more flour, because I did probably like a tablespoon and a half of the lemon juice here. And we're putting that in there. Wiping our grubby little hands. I'm just kidding, they're clean. Now we are going to zest half of the lemon here. I had the thing turned the wrong way. That's awesome. And yeah, we're just zesting away. I don't think I know how to zest properly. I don't know if there's a proper way to zest, but I definitely don't do it the right way. Now we're just getting off all of the residual zestiness that's still on there, just scooping it off there. There's probably a better way to do this in a lot of these things, but we're getting it done. That's what matters. All right, and here is our mixture. We're just gonna take a fork and mix it up really well. Just give it a good stir. You'll kind of have to mash things together since there's not much liquid. And now we're preheating the oven to 400 degrees. Here is our mixture all combined. Just kind of helping it unstick a little bit. Like I said, I added a little more flour, I believe, after this. We've got our apples, and we're just going to pour that mixture on top of the apples. I ended up just mixing these up with my hands. I found that it would combine quite a bit better if I just use my hands. There's no way you're going to use a spoon or a fork to get this all well incorporated. There are our apples, all covered and well saturated in the mix. And we are just going to go ahead and get our pie crust out. So what we're doing here is we are poking holes in the bottom of the pie crust. That way air can get through and ensure that it cooks properly. Just poking away. And here I am showing you what this looks like. You get a better look at it here. And now we are going to go ahead and add the apples. So what I ended up doing is kind of this circular pattern through there. I find that it fills the spaces really well. Here is what that looks like. It doesn't have to look exactly like this or exactly this circular. That is just my preference. Here is me kind of showing you again what that looks like and how high it should probably be stacked. Here we are at probably the best and the most fun, but also the messiest part. We are taking a 1/4 cup of the Smucker's salted caramel sauce, and we're just gonna go ahead and pop that in the bowl here. You're gonna see me struggle to get it out. It was too cold, so it was rock solid. We're just kind of making sure to get that all in there. I ended up doing a little bit more than what was necessary, but it turned out really good, so I'm not mad about it. Still struggling to get everything off there, I see. Now we're just going to do the same thing with the Hershey's, just a 1/4 cup there. I don't know if I mentioned before, but the reason I like to do a 1/4 cup of the salted caramel and the regular is just because I find it to be way too salty and it can take away from the flavor of the pie. So here we are pouring that in there. It looks like I struggled a little bit less with the Hershey's one. It wasn't quite as thick as the Smucker's one was, but nevertheless, definitely still struggling. And I cut the clip where you could see me struggling. Should have done that the first time. Okay, and now we're just throwing it in the microwave, doing intervals of 10 seconds. I believe it took about 20 seconds to get it melted enough to do this, and what we're doing now is just covering the top of the pie evenly with the caramel sauce, really making sure to get all up in those nooks and crannies. That way everything's well distributed and it bakes properly. You know the drill, y'all. Look at that pour, though. Watching this back makes me hungry. That pie is long gone, and I'm about to go make another one. Just seeing that drizzle on it. Oh my god. That is delectable. Look at that. And then she's making sure that it's all evenly covered. Whoa. Here she is. Look at that, y'all. That is picture perfect. Okay? That is gorgeous. That's beautiful. Now we're getting our top pie crust piece out, and we are kind of pushing it down, making sure it's pushed together, and then I'm using my fingernail to kind of lift up the edge of the pie crust, and I'm sure you guys saw me give it a good smack on the rear. But yeah, using my fingernail to lift up the edge of the tin tends to help quite a bit. And then I am peeling the edge of the tin away from the pie. The reason I'm doing this is if you just rip that top off of there, most likely the pie crust is going to come with the tin and you're going to end up with a big nasty rib that's going to cause you a lot of problems. So I'm doing this very carefully just to try to prevent a monstrosity from happening. And voila! Look at that. Look at that smile. You can tell how happy I am about the fact it didn't rip. Now we are taking a fork and we are pressing both pie crust pieces together, just going along around the outside. And since we've got it all pressed together, we are going to get rid of the excess pie crust on the sides. That way we don't light your oven on fire. Still kind of getting rid of the excess there. Just pressing the edges together one more time before I go back over it with the fork, which you'll see here in just a second. Going over it again, just giving it that nice edge of the pie look. You know, like that Martha Stewart. Not quite, but close. Here we've got our beaten egg, very well beaten, for our egg wash. And I don't have a brush either for this. So what I'm doing is actually just using my hands to go over the top of the pie and make sure it is very well covered, as you can see. And here I'm offering the pie reassurance. Yep, more reassurance for the pie. I don't know why this clip is so long, but yeah, here's the very well-egged pie, I guess you could say. All right, here she is with all of her egg wash on top. Look at that thing. Look at her. You know she's gonna bake good. You already know. Look at it. I'd eat it like that, low key. I'm just kidding. It gets. All right, so we are doing the top of the pie, kind of covering it in some sugar, a little brown sugar. We're gonna do a little more cinnamon and a little more nutmeg. I didn't really measure these. I just did I think around a tablespoon of white sugar, maybe a tablespoon, probably a little more of the brown sugar. And then just sprinkled some nutmeg and some cinnamon in there. And here I am dancing to God knows what. It's probably Usher. Throwing a little more brown sugar in there because obviously that wasn't enough. All right, and now we're just mixing that all together, making sure it is all mixed very evenly. That way you get equal distribution of the sugar and all the spices on top of the pie. Now we're just getting a little pinch or a big pinch and just kind of sprinkling it around the top of the pie, making sure it is evenly coated, or as evenly coated as I could get it, and dumping the rest because I just said screw it. I don't know what I'm using the spoon for. I know that's not doing anything. Not with that egg wash on there. And here is the pie. This is what we're looking like before we go ahead and cut some slits in the top. She's looking gorgeous so far. Now we are taking a knife and we're cutting 4 large slits in the top. And then I did a couple other slits around the top of the pie too. Kind of did a little pattern on the top of it. You don't necessarily have to do that. The reason we're cutting slits in the top is the same reason as why we poked the bottom with a fork. It is just to make sure that air is able to get inside. And somewhat circulate, I guess, and it helps it to cook properly and not just become a big, nasty, gummy mess. Here we are doing our little pattern. You'll kind of see what this pattern looks like here in just a moment. Very gingerly with it and very particular, we can see. It's probably good that I'm being particular, considering I did have a couple shots of bourbon while I was making this pie. So I'm happy to watch this back and see I was being very careful. Proud of myself for that one. Here is the pie before it goes in the oven. Y'all, I'm so excited about this. I wish the lighting was a little bit better, but nevertheless, she's still gorgeous. Alright, and now we have wrapped some aluminum foil along the edges to create a pie shield. It prevents the edges from burning within the first 25 minutes. We're gonna pop her in there. I've got a pan below the pie with some parchment paper on it because I lit my oven on fire the first time I ever made one because the juices kind of slipped down the sides. So I do recommend this step. All right, we're putting her in there for 25 minutes at 400 degrees. Here she is. We're gonna go ahead and take the pie shield off. And there's Pickles. We're gonna turn the oven down for this last part. We're gonna turn it down to 375 degrees and we'll pop her back in there. And we're cooking it for between 35 to 38 minutes. I ended up right on 36. All right, y'all, here she is in all of her beautiful golden brown glory. Not perfect, but she's still beautiful. All right, y'all, the time is finally here. The pie is finally done. I know I probably seem like I'm lacking energy, and that's because I am. I'm absolutely exhausted right now. But the pie turned out beautiful. I don't know if you can see it back here. You're supposed to let it cool for 3 hours. I'm exhausted. I let it cool for like 45 minutes. So we're just gonna dive into it. It didn't cut quite properly because you are supposed to let it cool for 3 hours so everything kind of settles down. But here is what we're working with. I got some vanilla ice cream and I topped it with the salted caramel topping like what was recommended. So we're just gonna dive into it. Alrighty, I am excited about this. I don't think I'll eat this whole thing on camera because I want to be able to enjoy it without a microphone in my face. I'm also struggling pretty greatly to do this right now. We're just gonna take a big bite. Screw it. Oh my god, if I can get it. That smacks. Hold on. I'm sorry you guys get to hear my chewing sounds. Get a little extra caramel in there with it. No, that hits. I think that's probably the best one I've ever made. Not even capping right now. I made sure to cut the apple slices really even. I know you guys saw me butcher the, what was it called? The peeling of the apples. However, this is that bomb diggity. This is fantastic. I would highly recommend this. They do recommend you do kind of like a lattice pie top, but I've never done that and I'm not going to film me doing that because I don't know how to do it. And I didn't want to do that on YouTube and just be more embarrassed than I already am. But this right here, that is fire. Oh my god. I don't even know that pie's gonna make it till tomorrow. But I'm not gonna make you guys watch me eat the rest of that thing. Because I'm about to be absolutely disgusting with it and just bite my face into the entire pie. However, I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed this. And if you try this recipe out, let me know. I hope you enjoyed as well. If you have any tips, tricks, whatever, just let me know. Thank you again and I hope you have a great rest of your day.